Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, he's meeting Xi Jinping tonight. What do you expect would come out of this first initial positive step, Matt?
Well, not much, I don't think, Peter. Look, I think we've got to get used to the new normal here. That it's no longer safe to do business in China, and we're never likely to go back to the kind of relationship we had before China's trade sanctions. I don't think that's anything to panic or worry about. As has been shown in the past few years, we really haven't missed a beat, despite the $20 billion worth of sanctions. We've found other markets. We've got great products. I really do think we've got to put our efforts into developing relationships apart from China. I mean, even with these sanctions, more than half our trade continues to go to China. I actually think that's a bit of a risk for us. It's a bit of a vulnerability. And therefore, while I welcome this meeting today, I don't think it should distract us from the hard work of developing trade relationships away from China so we can diversify away from that risk.
Right. Better to have that corridor open, though, than closed, right?
Look, of course, we'd prefer to trade with more people rather than less, but I'm also a realist here. I just don't see the relationship going back to where it was before. I mean, if nothing else, even if the sanctions were lifted tomorrow...
So why do you think that, by the way?
Businesses have confidence? Well, because how can Australian businesses have confidence that sanctions won't come back at some point in the future? I mean, while ever China is threatening Taiwan's sovereignty so strongly and clearly, there is a real risk that there may be even a greater disruption to trade with China than we've seen in the past couple of years. And so in terms of the incentives for businesses to be exposed and invest in a relationship, they're very much reduced right now. And I do think we have to take those risks into account as a country.
So do you think Xi Jinping can be trusted?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think the Chinese Communist Party can be trusted. Nothing personally against Xi. They're a communist country. They're a dictatorship. They're obviously aggressively pursuing their own interests. They have not taken military action or other action against Taiwan off the table. They're certainly holding that out as a threat. So if nothing else, I think we've got to be more realistic towards China. And for example, we have to reduce our dependence on them for our renewable energy sources or the key minerals that go into renewable energies. That's a real risk, and we're not taking enough action.
So do you think this could be, you know, a bit of strategy here from the Chinese leadership, a bit of a decoy tactic? Yep, we can open up trade, but you can't touch Taiwan or you can't interfere with what we do in Taiwan. That's going to place us in a tricky spot.
Well, who would know, Peter? I can't put myself in the minds of the Chinese Communist Party. I imagine they're not that focused on Australia, to be frank, with the single exception of iron ore. That remains the greatest touch point, I suppose, between our relationships. What accounts for a big part of that 50% of trade. It also, of course, has not been sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party, despite all the tensions in the past few years. That's because China has no other alternative but to import iron ore from Australia. Now, I think that's a vulnerability for us as well. It's a great economic opportunity. It's great that we do that. But as I say, what happens if China invades Taiwan? What happens to that $100 billion a year trade on iron ore for us in that event? We should be finding other markets for our iron ore, actively seeking to develop steel producing in other countries so that our risks are reduced in case the worst happens.
Yeah. On the subject, to an extent, of China and also defence, Richard Marles, he's pointed to a personnel crisis within defence. It's got about a 4,000 member shortfall there. What do you think about that? Are we in crisis? How much more do we need?
Well, look, I'm not the expert to put precise numbers on it, but all I know, I'm not surprised by those figures because we have had the last few years a period of condemnation, if you like, of our armed forces. The upshot of the Brereton inquiry, where 3,000 troops had their medals stripped, despite very few of them being involved in any even allegations of poor conduct. That didn't set a good example. I know it left a bad taste in the mouth of many serving Australians, and obviously doesn't encourage people to join the service. So I think we've got to get back and honouring the service that our Defence Forces make, the unique challenges that they face in life. And I really do think we can't hold our Defence Forces to exactly the same standards that exist in a normal workplace. They're not in a normal workplace. They're trained to kill people. And we don't I think, fathom that enough in our modern life and cherish and give thanks to them enough. I'd also, I mean, a bit of a side issue, but also to get rid of the rainbow morning teas, bring that back. I mean, there's too much advertising for the Defence Forces that it's the rainbow morning teas. I mean, there's too much advertising for Defence that I see that's almost like a lifestyle choice. Come and join Defence and you'll have a good time. Young people don't join Defence for that reason. They want to be challenged. They want to make a sacrifice for their nation. And I think if we're going to recruit more, we need to get back to those types of messages, that Defence is a service of duty, not somehow a step in your career path to a professional corporate life.
No, I thought about it once, leaving Year 12. I thought about being a fighter pilot, but just wasn't smart enough. I wasn't smart enough, Matt.
I probably wasn't brave enough. I didn't think about it, but look at people. I got a lot of respect for people like Andrew Hastie and Philip Thompson who did. We're very lucky to have.
No, I do too. No, it's a fair point. Matt Canavan, good to see you. We're out of time. We'll talk to you soon.